Right. Warm welcome to all of you. Good day from Sweden, and good morning, good day from Geneva as well.
Morning.
And I hope you all keep silent for the moment. Welcoming you all again warmly. I would like to say a few words before we start about this organization and also about Venerable Mahinda's participation in this great opportunity occasion. And Venerable Mahinda, I think, has been known to you all without doubt. So that is why so many participants are interested in listening to the Venerable. Now over 100 participants are joining, have already joined. I have known Venerable Mahinda for more than 30, 40 years actually. So I have a lot to talk about Venerable Mahinda. I think one of the most important services that Venerable Kesri Dhammananda Nayaka Thera of Buddhist mission in Malaysia did was that he ordained Venerable Mahinda. That happened in 1976, as I remember. So without taking much time, Venerable Mahinda is going to give series of talks through Geneva International Buddhist Foundation. So I'm very delighted to have participated in this as a moderator. And in the meantime during our session, I would like to invite you to keep you silent for the moment. And after the talk, Venerable Mahinda would open a session for questions. So we would like you to send us questions. You may use the chat box, or else you may ask directly after the talk. Before we start, I would like to invite Venerable Halyale Vimalaratana, the Chief Venerable of International Buddhist Foundation of Geneva, Switzerland, to introduce Venerable Mahinda and invite the Venerable to address us. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir. Samma Sambuddha Saranai. May the noble Buddha bless all of you. Good morning from Geneva, and good evening or good afternoon to different continents in the world. Most Venerable Mahinda and all the other participating Venerable monks, dear friends in Dhamma, it's a great opportunity for me to introduce Venerable Mahinda and to welcome all of you. On behalf of International Buddhist Foundation, Geneva, in Switzerland, I am so pleased to welcome respectfully Venerable Mahinda, accepting this respectful invitation for this speech today. And it's a great privilege for International Buddhist Foundation as well as a great benefit for all of you. Venerable Mahinda was born in 1949 in Malacca, Malaysia. He was ordained in 1976 as a Buddhist monk under the tutelage of Venerable Dr. Kesri Dhammananda Nayaka Thera. He has taught mindfulness and metta meditation for more than 30 years, over 20 countries, and is well known for Buddhist novitiate programs, which he conducted annually for 31 years. He is the founder of the Metta Around the World project, which united people throughout the world in the practice of loving kindness for world peace, harmony, and stability. He has held Metta conventions in Singapore, Sri Lanka, Australia, and Malaysia. Currently, Venerable Mahinda is the General Advisor for the Buddhist Missionary Society Malaysia, founder and spiritual director of Aloka Foundation, Malaysia. He is also the abbot of the Aloka Meditation Center in Australia, founder and spiritual director of Australian Buddhist Mission, Inc., and advisor to the number of Buddhist organizations in Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia. Venerable Sir, on behalf of International Buddhist Foundation, I respectfully invite you for your great speech based on overcoming challenge of COVID-19 through metta and mindfulness. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Venerable. Venerable members of the Mahasangha and brothers and sisters in the Dharma. Sukhi Hotu to all of you. If we can start this session with just a few minutes of sitting, and if you like to just bring your minds within, you can either close or you can choose to close or half close your eyes. But just bring your attention within and feel the calmness, the quietness within. Remain in this state of calm and quietness for a few moments with clear sense of awareness. Whatever phenomena that arises, the sounds that you hear, feeling, sensation that arises, you have clear awareness of them. And your mind is not disturbed, your mind is not distracted. In this state of calm and quietness, you will commence with the practice of metta, of loving kindness, wishing yourselves to be well and happy. As you wish yourselves well and happy, feel a sense of well-being and keep a smile in your heart. Just tell yourselves, be well, be happy, be free from anger, free from enmity, from hatred and grudges, free from sufferings, from fear, from worries, from anxieties. And just dwell in calm and peace. Just as you wish to be well and happy, calm and peaceful, you will now spread out loving kindness all around you. Feel the calm, the quietness within, radiating above, below, and all around you. Feel the whole space around you, wherever you are, in your room, and radiate out to all the surrounding areas, to the whole building, the whole house, to all the neighborhood, reaching out to the whole country. And beyond this country, to all the neighboring countries, all the neighboring islands, covering the whole world and all the realms of existence, known or unknown to us, seen or unseen, that may all be well and happy. May they be free from harm, free from dangers. May they dwell in peace and harmony. That may all be well and happy. All be well and happy. Sa, sa, sa. Thank you, Venerable Vimalratna from the International Buddhist Foundation of Geneva. Thank you for your invitation. I rejoice with all of you. And today's talk about the COVID-19 crisis. As many, if not all of you, would have heard about the challenges that we are facing at the physical or material level, especially with regards to the socio-economic problems. But these may be addressed to a certain extent through social distancing, through physical hygiene, and now we have the vaccination, and soon we'll have the air travel bubbles, so that we can fly, we can visit one another in order to return to the new normal. But there are deeper rooted problems pertaining to emotional, mental, and psychological issues, as well as spiritual issues that will go on for a long time. And this is where metta and mindfulness, as taught by the Buddha more than 2,500 years ago, have a very important role to play in meeting the challenges of our time. At the emotional level, fear, worry, anxieties due to various uncertainties are causing lots and lots of problems. Many people are drawn to social media and entertainment, such as gaming, musical apps, and so on, in order to pass the time and to distract themselves. In so doing, they become addicted and often end up with depression or other abnormal behavioral patterns. I know I see before all of you, you all are very fortunate people, but I am sure if you think about those people around you, you would become aware of the problems that these people are facing. Actually, I have heard these problems that arises from our own devotees, how their parents become addicted to this gaming process. musical acts, and that their behavioral pattern changes, and it is affecting their mental well-being, eventually developing into psychological disorders. Now, at the spiritual level, there is a tendency for people to turn to blind faith in hope of a quick fix. And this actually happens all the time. If we look back in the history, how in times of crisis, naturally people will turn to places of worship to seek solace. But most of these people are not able to distinguish between genuine spiritual practice and false beliefs. The spiritual values like Garavoja, Nivatoja, Santuticha, Katanyuta, reverence, humility, contentment, gratitude, all these are spiritual values, and they will eventually lead us to transcend our self-cherishing ego. It is this idea of self, I, my, me, mine, ahankara, mamankara. Now, this is at the very root of all human problems. We need to be aware that this pandemic that we are faced with is not the first of its kind. And it may not be the last either. The world has seen other pandemics before, such as the swine flu, Ebola, SARS, although perhaps of a different magnitude, and it may not affect many of us in different parts of the world. It may not have affected us, but it has affected the world. And all these pandemics, we can trace them to what? Through greed, through hatred and delusion that are so deeply rooted in the human psyche. This pandemic is just but one aspect of a civilizational crisis that we are currently facing due to excessive greed, hatred, and delusion. Our wildlife is being deprived of its natural habitats. And that's why you find the bats coming closer to the human environment. And we have all sorts of animals, all sorts of wildlife, and they all carry viruses with them here. So when the natural habitats are destroyed, ecosystem, then we also have environmental pollution. The forests, we see forests are being cut down at alarming rate. The water we drink and the very air that we breathe are all becoming more and more polluted. And I recently hear, wherever you are, if you go to the beaches and to get some fresh air, but you may not be aware, you will be breathing in microplastics. Because plastics are everywhere. We are throwing plastics everywhere. They end up in the ocean. And that is why we are faced with this climate change. Partly there is our human contribution towards it. But partly we are also going through a certain cycle, a planetary cycle, We are seeing these wild weather patterns, floods, droughts, storms, and so on. So this is why we need metta and mindfulness. We must make very good use of the time that we have. The peaceful, the relatively peaceful time that we have, we need to make good use of this to develop, to cultivate our mind. Metta is an antidote for anger and aversion. Metta will enable us to remain calm in times of trouble. And we will not react to adverse conditions. Metta is also the basis of many great virtues, particularly that of karuna, mudita, upekkha. Metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. These are called the Brahma Viharas, the sublime states of mind. Some others call this the Four Immeasurables. Because when we develop these qualities, when it becomes boundless, you cannot measure. It goes beyond boundaries. And that is what the world needs today. This world is so divided. Divided by the color of our skin, by the country we come from, by the language we speak, by the religion we profess, our faith, and even within our own religion, there are so many different denominations. They divide us. And because we are so divided, we are unable to harness the potentials, the goodness. Yes, we are living in a time of crisis, in an adverse situation, but there are also many good things that are happening around in the world. And that is why it is so important to open our hearts so that we'll be able to connect with one another globally and be able to harness the knowledge, the skills, the potentials of each and every one of us, each and every one of you. You all have all sorts of knowledge and skills. Now, this is what we need to become aware that we live in this time. Unprecedented time that we can bring together like this to meet you all from across the world, across traditions. So when we cultivate metta, loving kindness, and we practice this together, then we should be able to harness the potentials for the common good, to help the needy. Metta is also the basis for genuine spiritual connection with healing devas and dharma protectors. It is during this period, in this time of crisis, there are human beings who are caring, and not only human beings, there are other beings, they are divine, there are devas, bodhisattvas, those who have developed their compassionate heart. They are looking for avenues to help. And that is why it is so important when we cultivate loving kindness, we develop the channel we develop this vortex of energy that these higher beings, compassionate beings can come. And that is what you have heard during this time. There are so many miraculous spiritual healers are happening in different parts of the world. Yeah. They may not be the highest form of spirituality, but in these times of need, there are different devas, there are some call it Holy Spirits that will come in, that will help to heal, at least temporarily. Because the real cultivation of spirituality actually transcends us from this worldly, mundane world. But unfortunately, most of the people who are not developed to that extent, they are still very much attached to their own physical well-being. But we must be very careful to realize that no matter what we do for our physical, to look our physical health, we still remain in this samsaric cycle of birth and death. And that is why metta and mindfulness are so important. Now, one more thing, I will be talking more about metta next month. But now I'd like to point out that with regards to this COVID-19 virus, we all know that this COVID-19 virus affects the lungs, right? And our lungs are actually connected to the heart chakra. And metta actually helps to open the heart, nourishes this heart chakra. That is why metta is so very important to practice, especially in this time of crisis. Metta should be practiced with mindfulness. And when we practice mindfulness systematically, through the cultivation of the four foundations of mindfulness, mindfulness on the body, feelings, mind, and the Dhamma, whatever development that takes place within our mind, we are mindful. When we cultivate in this manner, systematically, with proper guidance, then we will see how this practice of mindfulness can help the mind to reduce, actually to purify this mind from the tendencies of greed, hatred, and delusion. In fact, that is the very purpose, that's the very aim of the practice of mindfulness. What the Buddha taught 2,500 years and more ago, in the very opening stanza of the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Buddha mentioned, Ekayano ayang bhikkhve maggo sattanang visuddhya soka parideva samatikamaya dukkha domanasanang atangamaya nyayasa adigamaya nibbanasa sasikriyaya yaridang chattaru satipatthana. The first thing Buddha mentioned was the cultivation of mindfulness is for what purpose? Sattanam visuddhya, for the purification of beings. The purification of beings here means the purification of the mind from the tendencies of lobha, dosa, moha, of greed, hatred, and delusion. So this is how when we practice, That's the first one. Then Soka Parideva Samatikamaya, to overcome sorrow and lamentation. And it is so very relevant at this point of time because there are so many beings, so many humans have died. And there is lots of suffering and grief. If we truly cultivate mindfulness and understand the true purpose of cultivating mindfulness, then it will be a great help. Soka Parideva Samatikamaya, Dukkha Domanasana Attangamaya, to put an end to mental and physical stress. And that is what the whole world is going through. Stress. We live, and some are in lockdown in areas. Certain areas are still locked down. Some have restricted movements. Yeah. And as such, we also experience all sorts of aches and pains in the body. Yeah. And the mind going everywhere. Although we are physically locked down, but the mind still wanders everywhere. We cannot lock the mind there. The floodgates of the mind will just go on and on. Yeah, that's why. That is why the training of the mind is so very important at this time. Yeah. So both metta and mindfulness, they have been and they are still being investigated by scientific communities in various parts of the world. There is now evidence to show that the aim of LKM, that is loving kindness meditation. If you go to Google and to find LKM, you will find loving kindness meditation. And what they have found, the scientific community have found, was that the practice of loving kindness meditation for 20 minutes daily over a period of 2 weeks, it is able to bring about physical and structural changes in the brain, as well as changes in behavior. And those who are aging, actually, they have recently found that those who practice metta has that ability to slow down the aging process by increasing the length of the telomeres at the end of the DNA, at the end of the chromosomes. That's what they call the telomeres. Yeah. So this is what they have found. There is what you call the chronological age in years, and there is the biological age. Yeah. So with the cultivation of metta, it can help to slow down this aging process. And why do we want to live longer? Because this is something is so important to recognize the preciousness of this human life. Many people pray for long life. Why? So that they have the wishes, they have the hope that after COVID-19, they can go around the world. Yeah. And they can have all their worldly desires fulfilled. But we must realize, if we understand what the Buddha taught, Buddha said that this human life is difficult. It is rare to be born as a human being. Kicho manusa patilabo. It is rare to be born as a human being. And what is so special, what is so unique about this human being? The very word human being derived from the Sanskrit and Pali word manusa, manas usanata. Manas is referring to the mind. Usanata is an elevated state, a developed state. So humans have that highest potential to use the mind, to cultivate the mind to gain liberation. And that is why our life is so precious. Yeah. So these two practices, metta, mindfulness, yeah, and in fact, they are well known. They are very well known for the therapeutic powers. With regards to, in the West, what they have done, and they found the metta, mindfulness, usefulness for regards to stress management. In fact, they have been teaching this for more than, I think, 40 years. Yeah, John Kabat-Zinn, yeah, introduced this in America. Yeah. Then there are also mental disorders such as mood swings and anxiety, and interpersonal relationships, as well as the application for workplace and so on. Now, this is very relevant in this point of time. These two practices, metta and mindfulness, actually complement one another. As we practice metta more, we will naturally become more aware of what is happening within and around ourselves. And as we practice mindfulness more, we will become more sensitive to our own as well as others' happiness. Together, these two practices will provide us with the calmness, insight, and very important, the presence of mind that will benefit ourselves as well as those around us. And we will also be able to deal with any difficult situation that may arise. Hence, they can play a very vital role in helping us to meet the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic and its aftermath. Now, the role of metta and mindfulness in these challenging times, we can summarize them at different levels. At the individual level, and we talked about, all of us, all of you know, and how the social distancing and washing of hands and, these are physical hygiene. But metta and mindfulness provides mental hygiene. That is, although we clean, if we can wash our hands and wash our body, but we cannot wash the worries, the fears, the anxieties that we have in our mind. But this is what metta and mindfulness can do. They enable us to manage and overcome negative emotions, such as anger, hatred, grudges, envy, jealousies, stinginess, anxieties, and so on and so on. So in doing so, metta and mindfulness promote a healthy immune system and good health at physical, mental, and emotional level. They also help to create a peaceful and harmonious environment at home, reducing quarrels and domestic violence, which are on the increase. Now, scientific studies also documented a range of benefits, including better sleep, improved interpersonal relationships and social connection, stress reduction, improved performance at work, at school, prevention and treatment of both mental and physical illnesses, then emotional resilience, and so on. There's so many good things that can come out from metta and mindfulness. Now, at the community level, the unconditional love, that love that breaks all divides, the love without lustful attachment. That unconditional love and compassion generated through the practice of metta, as well as the increased awareness generated by mindfulness, they will foster a greater sense of caring and sharing in society, resulting in collaborative activities that will support the common good, such as social enterprise and other humanitarian services. Just now I spoke about how the need to harness the knowledge, the skills, the potentials of those around us. So that is why we introduced the concept of metta circles amongst like-minded people, like-minded, peace-loving people. When they come together, practice metta, and develop the spiritual qualities, then they should also harness the talents, the potentials of one another, and so that they'll be able to reach out to those in need and develop a communal support network. That communal support network is so very important. Now, at the global level, the positive energies generated through loving kindness, supported by the practice of mindfulness, they are able to transmute negative thoughts, negative energies, and negative entities into light, love, and harmony. So when people around the world come together, like what we are doing now, when we practice together, we develop a collective consciousness of compassionate love. And this will be able to bring about some positive changes at the global level. Yeah. Now, with regards to the spiritual aspects of metta and mindfulness, I will deal with them later in my coming talks, and where I will emphasize how they have the power. Metta and mindfulness have actually the power to lead us to our final liberation, going beyond old age, sickness, and death. Yeah. For now, and most of you, I think all of you would already know, but if not, today, the COVID-19, I checked this morning, yesterday, that this COVID-19 virus pandemic has claimed more than 2.5 million people globally, right? And that is what is reported. There are many others in the poorer countries where they do not have access to, and the kind of systematic records, and they are not included in that. So they're more than this 2.5 million people. And the number infected more than 160 million people. Now, all these have caused very much suffering and grief. There's poverty, inequality, hunger, job losses, domestic violence, insecurity, everywhere. In his New Year message, the United Nations Secretary, Antonio Guterres, appealed to the citizens of the world to make this year, 2021, a year of healing. So let us join together with one heart and mind to promote healing through our practice of metta and mindfulness, individually and collectively. Metta and mindfulness have the power to reduce and to eliminate viruses even more dangerous than COVID-19. Do you realize there are viruses, we can call them viruses, more dangerous than COVID-19? These are known in Pali as Lobha, Dosa, Moha. When you translate into English in simple terms, it is greed, hatred, and delusion. These three culprits act like viruses, and they have caused us to suffer from life to life. If we had collected all the tears that we have shed, they would fill all the great oceans and more. If we gathered all the bones of our skeleton, they would pile up as high as Mount Everest. Actually, what is mentioned is Mount Meru. But we do not know exactly what Mount Meru, but we can say that Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. So it is so much of suffering that we all have gone through. So that is why it is so important that we cultivate metta mindfulness together and pave the way for all to cross the ocean of samsara, the cycle of birth and death. Yeah. So I think before we give, if you have questions, I can take some questions, and then after that we have to leave some time to dedicate marriage for peace, for harmony and stability in this, wherever you are. And so I think Mr. Moderator, if you can, if you have questions, any questions that we may take, Yes, Dr. Smana.
Thank you very much, Bhante, indeed. Your erudition is so visible, and the meantime, your genuine practice is visible in your expressions. And we are really honored, and thank you very much indeed. And let us open the question time. And anybody interested in asking any questions, please feel free to put the questions through the chat box, or just unmute yourself and ask directly.
So easy. Okay.
Oh, thank you. It's a comment by Monica. And you all have seen the comments. Yes.
How deep, how profound, yet so easy and well explained. Thank you from our heart. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That is from Monica. I think all of us felt like that. Very appealing, very refreshing, and informative, and very encouraging message for us to practice. Of course, please feel free to ask. Anybody who wants to ask the question? If you unmute yourself.
Thank you, Bhante, for the very clear explanations. And I'm always thinking that there's so much value in these 2,600 years ago's teachings, but it's find so difficult to apply to the majority of the populations. People they know, but they do something else. So it's so little compared to the masses of suffering. This is what I regret. And thank you very much for the very
Thank you, Jayanta. Thank you. That is why we have to devise. These teachings are very ancient teachings, more than 2,500 years, and maybe it goes even beyond that, So now we have to devise new methods, new ways of getting people involved into this practice. Now, for example, personally, I have come across, and amongst the Sri Lankan monks, especially amongst the Sri Lankan devotees, everywhere I go, and they all have heard about metta and mindfulness, and but I think with regards to the practice, to bring it to the real practice, don't forget what the Buddhist advised in the Karaniya Metta Sutta. Buddha mentioned that this is how we have to practice metta, right? And we have to radiate loving kindness, uddam adoja tiriyancha, above below and all around us. Yeah. And how, when, and the Titang Charam Nisinova Sayanova Yavatasa Vikatamiddo. That is, whether we are standing, whether we are walking and moving around, whether we are sitting down or lying down, we must, as long as we have this awareness, this quality of metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, we must develop this. Now, this is where we propose. We propose an initiative, right? And I think in the coming talks, then we would like to propose this initiative of 4 M's. 4 M's here refers to M. Million minutes of metta and mindfulness. Yeah. So if each and every one of you today can take upon yourself, right, and to make a determination, adhisthana, to practice metta and mindfulness truly in your daily life. Yeah. Start with at least half hour sitting in the morning and evening, or if you can, morning and evening, half an hour of metta and mindfulness. Yeah, we can provide you with the audio, what you call recording. And then throughout the day, observe mindfully your state of mind. Every time you are angry, every time you're angry with somebody or something or some situation around you, you are upset, remind yourself, metta, be free from anger, free from enmity. This is something that we have to apply ourselves. And when we have craving, attachment, lustful thoughts and desires, we must remind ourselves, mindful, be mindful. And the beauty of it is the moment we are mindful, at that moment, we already step out from that unwholesome tendencies. And then at the end of the day, what we have to do is we have to reflect. We have to recall what we have done during the day. And those who have already established their faith, their confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, this is where they need to pay their homage, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya, in whatever way that you do in your tradition, then to seek forgiveness for whatever wrong and the shortcomings and how slack that you have been. And then after that, you make the determination to improve to your practice. Day by day, you keep on improving this, yeah? And that is how, and we introduce this 1,000,000 minutes of metta and mindfulness so that we can have a little bit of competition from Geneva and what you call Sweden, and let's see who do more, yeah? Sri Lanka, yeah? So if you can help to promote this, we will give you idea how it can be done, and so then we will see we have a scoreboard, yeah, we'll have a scoreboard. Portugal, how many minutes, and yeah, and we will leave it open-ended. We'll have it open-ended until after the what you call COVID-19 crisis is over, and then after that we will join together to have a metta convention, a true metta convention. How about that? Yes, Jayanta.
Yes. Thank you very much. And I was just thinking that this is from the Buddhist Center in Geneva. So you have the United Nations just in the same town. And I think there's the resistance is that the Buddhism is known as a religion. Of course, it is a religion, but the more value it is in its philosophical value, the spiritual value. And it should be the Buddha Dharma. I like to call Buddha Dharma because, and it should be classified as a human, how do you call, property, human there's a name for it. Present as a psychological Buddha Dharma teachings, but not so much as a religion, because there's a rejection.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Jayanta. Thank you for your comments. Let us move on to some other question. Yeah,
there is a question from Vasanti Jayveer from Denmark, I think. Chintaka and Vasanti, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
First, I must say I'm Vasanti, and I have to say sorry, I cannot switch on the camera because the laptop I'm using has a broken camera. So I just forward my question. This is a question that I came across because of a friend who is going through severe depression. Of course, cannot find the reason behind it as such, because the person doesn't have any particular problem as such, but there is a severe stress or whatever that has caused the depression. So I was trying to help her by saying that she should start the metta process, but it's at a stage where she cannot think a lot.
Thank you, Vasanti. I think it's a clear question. I think Bhante can respond to this question too, if you have any ideas, Bhante.
Actually, I could not hear that there were some breaks in between.
All right. Yeah. Somebody having a depression and a lot of stress, and Vasanti was trying to help her. And if you have any ideas to cope with depression and stress through metta.
Yeah, okay. And now, in order to try to help somebody, and very important thing is to begin with oneself. Yeah. See, if we want to help our loved one, yeah, and we cannot, there is actually when somebody is already very stressed, right? And what they need is that love, that compassion. And that love and compassion, not only through our words, it's actually through our heart. So that is why it's so important to learn how to open our hearts, so that when you have somebody in trouble, it's not just your talking, just not telling them what they should do, what they should not do. But if you can just be still and just smile and connect with all the goodness that you have done. Now, this is why we find that, there's a tradition amongst the monks, the Sangha members, I have seen them, when they bless somebody, they will take the water or they will take something and then they will just blow. Yeah. So when I see them doing it, so people come and approach me, they give me something, I also blow. Yeah. But what are they blowing? They are not just blowing the air. They are not just blowing carbon dioxide from this thing. They have been practicing how to blow out all the goodness, all the merits, and all the purity, all the things that they have practiced to bless. So this is something that, and any time that you meet somebody in distress around you, that means to say that there is some connection. And especially if you have concern for that person, that means you have some kind of connection there. Yeah. And with that connection, it's so important that you start clearing yourself. Yeah. And that is what the magic of the 4 words and of sorry, I'm sorry, and please forgive me. Thank you for the opportunity, and I wish you well. Yeah, you do not know. I think, I borrowed this from our friend Ho'oponopono in Hawaii. Yeah, I was so what you call impressed at his work in Hawaii, but we'll talk about that later. Yes, Sumana. Yeah.
Bhante, there are some more questions, but I don't know.
Can I just ask a little more further on that? The question mainly I was trying to ask the person. I'm not connected very closely to the person, but I know as a friend. But I'm not there to bless her every day. But if she has to practice on her own, and what can she practice in a situation when your mind is so blurry? Can she practice the any type of particular chanting or anything?
Yes, thank you. Yes, you can. And if you can do that, it'll be so good. Because in fact, we have a prayer list, where people to pray for. So we have devotees from various parts of the world, and day by day, the prayer list is increasing, and more and more people. And even just yesterday, last night, we received a few more, and who are affected with COVID-19, but some are affected with so many other natural illnesses. But I will let you know these things about the prayer. How, if you, first of all, you must have the good practice of metta. And otherwise, you will be just chanting just words. Whatever chanting you do, whatever you do, and it will not have the kind of power. The power of loving kindness is so powerful. And I will share with you one experience we have in Australia. A devotee, and and what you have to do, and you must not, you see, sometimes we want some other people to do, but the thing is that when people are so stressed, it is very difficult for them to actually take instructions immediately. They must find some kind of solace. They must have some kind of faith. In order to be able to help another person, the other person must have faith, must have confidence in you. So that is why you must practice and do something. And I like to share with you this experience, but there's time. I'm looking at the time also. Have a quick one, the quick one is this, about prayers. And when we pray for somebody, see what happens is this. If you have what you call the genuine heart for others, then you connect. Now, what happens is there's a power of resonance. When you pray for somebody and you wish them well, you wish them whatever problems that are faced, may they be able to overcome this problem. And one day in Australia, one of our devotees has a friend, and we do not know who he is, but he was not well. So this devotee had requested prayer for so-and-so. So we have a group, we have our residents to chant every day and then invoke what you call the make dedications. Then what happened is this man who is having this problem, and he was desperate. He went here and there, and he went to see what you call a clairvoyant. Then the clairvoyant told him that the clairvoyant can see something, can see some blue color around his aura, and said that, there are some people that are praying for you. Looks like there's some people, and the clairvoyant can also say there are some Asian people praying for you. You'll be okay. So this is how we received the feedback. So actually prayers, if you really practice, prayer has some power. Okay, yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much,
Yes,
Bhante. There are a few more questions, but I don't know whether we have time, because
maybe we can,
Bhante.
We can take it at the next, what you call,
yes.
Bring that question forward to our next session next month.
That's great. Actually, I can save this question. I copied and cut and paste, and then we can send the questions to Venerable Mind in the future. and Venerable is going to give more talks in the future. I think Venerable Bimala Ratana from Geneva Buddhist Center, International Buddhist Foundation, will tell about the future talks briefly. And just I invite the Venerable to conclude the session afterwards. And also Venerable Mahinda suggested that we could have a way of dedication of these merits to all living beings and divine beings and so on. So just in a formal way, we conclude the session with the blessings of the Venerable Mahinda then. First of all, before that, may I invite Venerable Bimala Ratana to say a few words about the future sessions? Please unmute yourself. Venerable, we cannot hear. Please unmute yourself, Venerable. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Most Venerable Mahinda, we are very happy about your great discourse and teachings today based on metta meditation. On behalf of International Buddhist Foundation, I would like to remind you about future programs on 4th of April, Awakening with Metta. Venerable Mahinda will be the invited guest speaker. And 2nd of May, the topic will be Mindfulness Leads to True Freedom. As well as it is my pleasure to remind you about the function of International Buddhist Foundation during a 30 years period. Actually, we are organizing programs in Sinhala, in English, as well as in French. As Dr. Jayant mentioned, actually, I started my mission in Geneva with the celebration of 2600th anniversary of Lord Buddha's enlightenment at UN, together with Sri Lankan Embassy as well as other missions. In the same way, in 2020, celebrating the 20th resolution of the Vesak Day in the UN, we could organize in large gatherings, over 40 missions and ambassadors and over 270 participants from different continents, different countries. And this is one of the most important period, as our Venerable Mahinda mentioned here, COVID pandemic period. Always we have to utilize it by the way of training this mind, understanding the impermanency, understanding our spiritual values, how to develop our inner values to contribute for the success and for well-beings of all over the world. So this is the background, and we highly appreciate your great contribution in Dhamma for the well-being in the world, as well as I should be grateful to Dr. Suman Ratnayake for giving this opportunity, introducing Venerable Mahinda and with your community in today's program. And we are so grateful and conveying blessings for all of you to be in peace and happiness. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bhante. And may I now invite Venerable Mahinda again to conclude the session with your blessings, Bhante.
Before we do this dedication, let us just bring our minds within. Just bring the attention within. Feel your whole body. And in the calmness, in the quietness of mind, just spread our loving kindness that may all beings be well and happy. In your wholesome state of mind, let us dedicate these merits for peace, for harmony and stability. Wherever we are, let there be peace, harmony, and stability within our family, within our community, in the country where we live, and in the world at large. Let us share this marriage with all the devas, all the Dhamma protectors, and all our guardian deities, those who have been guiding and protecting us, including the guardian deities in the locality, wherever you are, and the traditional owners of the land. Let us share this marriage with them all, that they will rejoice in this marriage, and in so rejoicing, may they give blessings and protection to all. And let us also dedicate marriage for the spiritual well-being and happiness of all our departed relatives, teachers, and friends, and all who have fell victims to the COVID-19 virus pandemic, wherever they are. We dedicate this marriage for their well-being, that wherever they are born, may they have opportunity to receive Dhamma, to be guided, to grow in the Dhamma's path, that will lead them to be free from all sufferings one day. With all your good thoughts and the merits that you have acquired, please make your wish, make your aspirations, that all this marriage will pave the way for you to be able to continue to develop and purify your minds. Purify your minds from the tendencies of grasping and various forms of clingings and attachments, from the tendencies of anger, hatred, and grudges, and the tendencies of delusion, cultivating the qualities of generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom that will give you the purity of mind and the strength to confront and overcome whatever difficulties, whatever obstacle that may arise in your lives. May this marriage also pave the way for you to progress in your lives, succeed in what you do, be able to fulfill your worldly duties and responsibilities, and at the earliest opportunity, may the seed of enlightenment be sown in your hearts, so that you be able to walk the noble path, be free from all sufferings one day, and have the wisdom, the compassion to help others, whoever that comes by your way. Please make your wish and aspiration as we invoke the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, that through all the merits that we have acquired on this occasion, may we all have the strength, may we have the courage and wisdom to overcome whatever difficulties, whatever obstacles that we are faced with. By bringing them into the path of our practice, so that we can swiftly develop our full potentials and accomplish whatever that we need to accomplish in this lifetime. Please make your wish and aspiration, and as you make this wish and aspiration, please think of someone, at least someone whom you wish to bring the Dhamma to. Bhatu Sampa Mangalam Rakhantu Sampa Devata Sampa Buddhana Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantute. Bhatu Sampa Mangalam Rakhantu Sampa Devata Sampa Dhamman Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantute. Bhatu Sampa Mangalam Rakhantu Sampa Devata Sampa Sanghan Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantute. Akasata Jabumata Deva Naga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Loka Sasanam. Akasata Jabumata Deva Naga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Desana. Akasata Jabumata Deva Naga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakhantu Mang Parangti. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Abhivadana sirisa nichang vada pachayino. Chataro dhamma vadanti ayu vanno sukhang balam. Ayurarogya sampatikasa sampati mevacha. Ato nibbana sampatti minate samijatu. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and all the merits that you have acquired, may your wish, may your aspirations come true, and may you all have long, healthy, and happy lives. And let us dedicate these merits again for peace, for harmony and stability, wherever you are. May all suffering beings be free from suffering. Those in sorrow be free from sorrow. Those in fear and dangers, may they be free from fear and dangers. May we all grow and evolve from life to life and work for the welfare and happiness of all. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu,
Thank
sadhu.
you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you
Well
very much,
said.
Bhante.
Thank you,
I should be-
Venerable. Thank you.
I should be thankful to Mr. Chi Lui and Mr. Lalante for providing technical support by using this Zoom link.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you
everyone.
very much.
Have a
Thank you
nice
very
day.
much.
Great, thank you.
Happy
Thank you.
to see our friends from Portugal, from everywhere. Yeah. And adios. Adios.
Cheers.
May
Thank
you
you.
be
Yes.
well.
Hola,
May you be
hola.
well.
Hola.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank
Oh
you,
yeah,
Bhante.
Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia, Indonesia,
Thank
yeah,
you.
Hong
Thank
Kong,
you.
yeah, Hong Kong,
And
yeah,
UK.
yeah.
From
Oh,